I mean, whenever he tells me if I have available, like what's supposed to say, oh, I need a cleaning. If I can go right away, I'll go right away. But if not, then we can probably like the next day or something. So that way I can. But as long as if he does ask for it, as long as he lets me.
Yeah, he wasn't sure, but they're going to be there a month. They may be there a little bit longer. It's another person. Yeah. It's just Fishfinder is weird because it's like loosey-goosey.
Well, it's not Airbnb. I mean, everything's up to you. If they just send you the leads.
Yeah.
All right.
Aquí está mi marido. Ella es la que me llama.
Oh, sí. He sent me the link. Just the link.
Más bien, más bien sabemos cómo vota. You can announce.
Ya veremos a ver qué pasa. ¿Sí se escucha bien? Está un poquito lejos. Well, I think we can hear. What's going on? Or you can. It's so cold in here. I know, it's so cold. Because I asked him.
Yeah, he's going to be in Dallas. So he won't be able to. I'll see him this weekend. We're going to talk a little bit more. I'm looking at, I'm trying to, I tried to do the second. So we're working. So I'll talk to him.
You don't know my husband, right?
Yeah, I've seen him but sorry, I think I know him, but I met him a couple times, seen him a couple times, and of course the biggest thing I see on him more than anything is on Facebook.
Yes. Okay, yeah, so let me know, but yeah, I'll see what's possible. I mean, he told me Luis is the perfect person, but if not, we can know something.
Yeah, we'll get him.
Yeah.
Sandra.
So you said March 2nd, 6 p.m.?
Yes.
District 8. Do you know the location?
I'll set it down, all right? That works. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm all good for that. Yeah, at least whatever it is, we'll be done. Yeah, yeah. The feedback's take a break.
It is 600. South Ochoa. Ochoa.
Is that O?
C-H-O-C-H. O? No, you missed the O. Start over?
C-O?
No, O.
Oh.
O-C-O. I'm sorry, O-C-H. O-A. O-A, yeah. That's for okay. Might take it.
I know that it's bungalow. Because mine is a bungalow in Austin. See, and in Austin, I have a license. No, because I'm since 2015. So.
I was always on call. I'll be back here.
Am I going to be?
But they didn't have a meeting set up, but now I guess you just set up. But so
Good evening, everyone. If I could have your attention, please. Thank you very much for coming out. Today is a busy day, so we're going to get started in our meeting. But I do have a couple of things that I need to announce to you. We do not have a public address system, so can you hear me in the back? Yes. Okay, great. Anyways, my name is Joe Molinat. I am the city representative for District 4, which is out here in the northeast of Council. On behalf of myself and my office, we welcome you here to this meeting, this community meeting. We are going to talk about short-term rentals. Just a couple of ground rules here. If you can, please silence your cell phones, however you do it. If you need to take that call, take the call, okay? But please quietly leave this room, not to disturb too many people, okay? There's a drinking fountain. If you go out this door toward the back, okay, there's a restroom, male and women and men, also in that same area there. And so you're in good hands. You'll pass the police department, sir. So you should not have any problems. But it's great, really great to see everybody here tonight. And we're going to be talking about short-term rentals. There will be a presentation, okay? And so it's about 23 slides. I would ask that you save your questions towards the end, and they'll be able to answer your questions, okay? This is Kevin Smith. Tony
De La Cruz.
thank you very much. Nicole Cody. Raul Garcia. Laura Cruz Acosta. And okay, so they're going to be the actual presenters for tonight's presentation. And like I said, have plenty of questions, okay? This community meeting is for you, for all of you. It's going to be a game changer to a point, but we need your input, we need your information, your feedback, and things like that, okay? Right now, does anybody have any questions about my part, if I just talked about it? No? Hearing none? Okay, let's give a nice big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Representative. So thank you all very much for coming out. I'm not sure what to do with this podium. Thank you all so much for coming out and taking time out of your schedule to join us. We really are, as the representative said, we're here for your feedback, and we'll get into the presentation. And there will also be an opportunity. It's work. We want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to be heard. So we're really going to go one by one around the room and ask you if you have any comments or questions once we conclude the presentation. Thank you. Okay. So one thing that I would need to start off with right from the beginning is that in December, there was a draft of an ordinance that was released, right? And so that draft of an ordinance, I want you to know, per City Council directive, we were told to stop. The draft of the ordinance has been basically put in the trash can because they wanted us to stop and really get your feedback. They wanted to understand the community's feedback regarding short-term rentals. So no decisions have been made, and really what we're doing in each of these meetings, and this is the 5th meeting of 14 meetings, is we're documenting your feedback. There will be an opportunity for you to fill out a survey as well, but the individuals you see here to my left and right are really documenting the feedback that you're providing tonight. And then of course, let us know if you can't hear us in the back, just let me know. I'm pretty good at, my voice carries, but just let me know. So we're listening. This is the feedback that we heard through last night. No permitting for short-term rentals. There's no restrictions. No density limitations, and we can get into what that means, but not limiting the number of short-term rentals on a block. And no hot tax collection, because it's really a self-regulated industry. So what Representative Kennedy did yesterday, sir, and if you don't mind if I do, is that he said, if there's a show of hands against the short-term rental that are in opposition to the short-term rental, could you raise your hand?
The ordinance?
The ordinance, yes, sorry, the ordinance.
Can you rephrase it?
Those that are against the short-term rental ordinance. Against.
Okay.
Yes. And then those that would be in favor of a short-term rental ordinance? Okay. So, the next part we want to talk about is the initial recommendation. So it's really important that I'm very clear that we're building a staff recommendation to City Council. The City Council does have the final decision, but a staff recommendation is what we're developing tonight. And right now, this is what the staff recommendation looks like based on what you provided. No permitting, no zoning restrictions, correct? Right?
Correct.
Yeah, everybody in this room still agrees with that? Absolutely. And so what we've talked about in other meetings, but we'll make sure we're very clear, and it's an opportunity for us to clarify what that means so everybody has the same information, is that it would be allowed by right. So just what we're doing is we amend our code so that way what you're already doing is now just part of the code. There's no permit requirements, there's no registration, there's no fees, there's no additional anything. It's just now our code is up to date with what's actually happening, right? So right now, that's the initial recommendation. Here's the survey, and we'll have the survey at the end as well. But yesterday, I apologize, and the gentleman in the back is the one that reminded me. I did not get an opportunity for everyone to fill out the survey, so it's really important. We do want to hear from you. We're going to hear from you tonight, but also that you fill out the survey, and then also that you provide the survey to anyone who can't make it tonight, anyone that you know would be interested in filling out the survey. So please do. If you want to do it now, yes, ma'am. And if not, there'll be another opportunity at the end as well. I just didn't want to miss it again.
Oh, great.
And then Laura reminded me that the survey is available on the city's website under elpasotexas.gov. Then you click departments and it's under planning and inspections. And they'll have the web, if you want to forward it. Sometimes it's hard to send QR codes. You can take a picture of it and send it that way for text. But if you want to forward the link. We do have more chairs. We always want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to have a seat. So we don't mind getting up more chairs.
You want to sit over here, please?
Please be comfortable. We want you to stay and give us your feedback. So. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kevin. All right. So I'm going to continue to remind you that we are listening, make sure that we get all of your feedback. We're going to go through this presentation very shortly in a very quick manner, but what I want you to really remember is this is really our starting place. This is where we're at. So what you're going to hear about next is really what's normally included in an ordinance, the normal framework that's a part of the ordinance. But no, this is not what we're recommending. What we're recommending is what we've heard in other past meetings, and then we want to just reaffirm with you all, and then see if there's anything we're missing. Because everybody here brings a fresh perspective to the issue, and we're listening. We really are. So, okay, we'll go through it very quickly, and then we'll get to the important part, which is your feedback. So this, I always mention, is the only information that we know. So we always focus on data, and the representative knows this. It's really important that we have information. Well, right now we really don't have any information about short-term rentals other than what we find on the internet. And so that's why these meetings are so critical, because we're learning from you. We're learning what short-term rental really means for El Paso. So I don't want you to get stuck on those numbers because, well, that's right, that's what's on the internet. But what you are here today is to tell us what really short-term rentals are for El Paso. So this would be normally the on code changes, as well as part of this process. We have the review of the other cities, which we'll touch on lightly. This part, which is the critical part. And then if there's anything to approve by council, and I say if, that would also be provided. They've asked us to come back to them with a specific timeline. And so the timeline is not only going to be, we're going to mail it out to the emails that we do have. We're going to make sure we put it on our website, and then you all know exactly what it is. I want to make sure that you understand this process is not just for show. We truly mean this process. We truly are behind this process, and the representatives have asked us from the beginning of this process to ensure that we give plenty of opportunity for vetting and that we really clearly communicate where we're at in the process. There's no tricks. I want you to know right now. They've asked us to make sure that we're completely clear on what the next steps are once we know, and also where are we at. So the request for information to find out how the survey is going, what the feedback looks like, was all the way made at the second meeting that we had. They said, we want to know what's being heard at the meetings. This was with Representative Fierro's meeting. We want to know what's going to be discussed, and you need to let us know how the meetings are going. It's a great point, right? It helps you know what the past meetings have looked like, that you're not alone in your concerns. And you're not alone in what you've identified as an issue for you, right? So current regulations. Right now, we need to let you know that our code is behind. Business always leads the way and city sometimes has to run to catch up, right? And this is no different. The way we have short-term rentals, unfortunately, it still falls under Title 20 under bed and breakfast as a special permit. But that we know that's not what you want, right? Short-term rental is not a bed and breakfast. We understand that. And so we need to get it updated. But we also understand no permits, no zoning requirements, no restrictions, right? Yeah. No regulations. Just let us be, is what we heard yesterday too. So I'll pass it to Kevin to go through just the frameworks. And it's just so you can understand, like I said, with a normal ordinance, in the sense of what's normal. That's why you get the little quotes, because what's normal? So we want to make sure what we're doing is right for El Paso, and Kevin's your guy.
Thanks, Nicole. Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Yes. All right, perfect. Thank you. So this is when we did an evaluation of other cities, what they did. Again, this is our initial look at, what they do. We have to get an idea about what these cities in Texas do. We are in Texas, so we have to follow the same rules they do. Some of them have density limitations. We talked about that. Again, overwhelmingly we heard no density limitations. Okay, and I'll get to that here in a second. Some of them have site plan requirements. Come to the city, hey, you have to do a permit. Okay, we heard overwhelmingly, no, we don't want any of that. And then a permit, you have to come in and register with the city. Again, we heard no. We heard no, but that's what some other cities do. So we have to do that as a baseline. The definition that is generally found in other cities in Texas is basically a residential dwelling unit or a portion of it, maybe a room, that is rented for less than 30 days. That's what's defined as a short-term rental. Other cities have defined it further and said, maybe do we need to look at single-family duplex versus multifamily? Do we need to look at where the owner lives there versus not owner lives there? Okay, that's just what other cities do, okay? Again, cities have different requirements. San Antonio, they limit the amount of short-term rentals in a block by a percentage. They say only 12.5% of a block could be short-term rentals. Other cities say you have to be so far away from another short-term rental. Okay? But again, the feedback we heard is you all don't want any restrictions. You want just to be allowed to exist and there. So that's good for those cities, but we're El Paso, so we can adopt whatever is appropriate for El Paso. So again, restrictions all over the place. Some of them restricted very much, some of them not at all. Again, finding a balance. We're here to balance from you all. Again, density limitations. I went into that briefly. Other cities have it. Does it have to be included? Overwhelmingly, we heard no. We heard from you loud and clear. Other cities do it. Again, doesn't mean we have to do that. Okay? So what we're looking at is, as was mentioned before, under our current zoning code, a bed and breakfast is defined, falls under the category of a short-term rental is a bed and breakfast. I think we all know that's not quite right. That's where we need to update the code and allow it so you don't have to come to us. If you did go through the bed and breakfast, it would require what's called a special permit. It's like a special privilege where you would have to go through a bunch of steps to get approval for a bed and breakfast. In reality, these are basically functioning as if it's a single family home. Generally, it's used as a single family home. It's just the occupants may rotate on a more regular basis as a single family home. So that's where we're trying to find a process that works easy so you don't have to come through us. You don't have to go through a bunch of public hearings. Okay? Because who wants to go through a bunch of public hearings where we notify your neighbors? I don't know many people that do, but it's part of the process. So that's where we need to update the code and say, you know what? You're not a bed and breakfast, you're a short-term rental.
let's create a new category just for that. No restrictions, no limitations, so you can operate and continue going about your business. So I'll pass it over to Tony for what other cities do in terms of permitting.
He's the tax man.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Tony, I need your perspective. I oversee the construction side of the house. Okay, so what are other cities doing? The cities that are regulating currently, the majority of them are requiring permitting requirements. Okay? Overall, what they're asking for as part of the classification of an Airbnb is saying, is this owner occupied? Basically, the different types that Kevin went over. Is it operator, just operator utilized? And that's how they fall into the classification type. They're requiring typically simple floor plans to identify, okay, what's the area, where, how many people can fit, what's the sizes of the bedrooms. So simple floor plans like that are what they're looking at, but at this point, hearing the overwhelming majority of your input, we're not looking at requiring any permitting requirements, which is a relief to me, because that means I would have to try and process 1,800 permits roughly per year with limited staff. So thank you for that. But with that being said, the other portions that they throw in there is life safety requirements. So a lot of the times, the cities and every city, ours included, wants to make sure that a residence or any building is safe for the occupants that are going to be there. Okay? That you have the basic smoke detectors, that bedrooms have egress requirements, that if you have wrought iron, that they have the quick release. Okay? That somebody that's there that is unfamiliar with your home knows how to get out of there quickly and safely in the event of an emergency. That's something that we do currently for new residential construction and a lot of remodels that go out throughout the city. Tenant notification, that's something that you guys are already doing, okay? And I'll hit renewal right after I go over to this one because tenant notification, you guys are already doing. Like I've said before, you guys have heard it, after I look up the free Wi-Fi password, I go to figure out, okay, what is it that I can and can't do, okay? So typically, your maximum number of occupants, it's already listed on a page. You have where people can and can't park. You're gonna have, for the, what are the quiet hours? You don't want your guests violating any of the local ordinances and getting you guys into trouble, okay? So that's something that's already there that is typically required by other cities as part of their permitting requirements. Also, is the renewal fee. We're not looking at requiring permitting, so we wouldn't have renewal fees because if you basically be allowed to operate by right.
So this is just about, if there's, our recommendation, as we've said, and as we're crafting it also today, with any additional feedback, is that we just need to be able to define it in our code. That's it. No permits, no registration requirements, no restrictions, no any extras, nothing. And so that's why we do need to at least have some type of structure in our code. I hope, yeah, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. So we have the survey again, and then actually we're going to get right into, we do have additional meetings that are available, and we're going to continue to have all of these meetings to ensure everybody's voice is heard. It really is important not only to us, but to City Council that we're capturing as many voices as possible. And as I mentioned today, if you have something new that you would like to add, of course, we're going to be making sure that we write down everything as well, and we're going to give everybody an opportunity to speak. And that's actually what we're going to start next. But I'll go back to the survey so I don't forget it again. So let's go ahead. I always start at the beginning. Do you want to start in the back this time?
I just want to make sure everyone knows that the survey did change. So I don't know if you guys are still getting the same answers. But just in case anyone needs to forward the survey again, it is different.
Is it?
Yes.
How did that? No, it changed.
It went
Not
from
since
like
yesterday.
7 questions to 4 questions.
It changed based on the conversation we
questions
had.
Oh, they cut out the ones that were in favor of
The redundancy.
yeah, got it. No, well, that's an important point. We should have, yeah, we needed to bring
It
that up.
was
Thank you.
amended based on the feedback that we received
On Monday.
on Monday.
Got it. Got it. Yes. Okay, thank you. So that is, it has changed as of Monday. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the most, so how many questions are the most up to date?
I think it's only, it's a
Maybe
four.
the fourth is the question.
Okay, so what you said it was.
What I sent you is the same thing.
Okay.
Okay,
It's the
great.
same link, they just, it looks different now, but it's still the same link.
Right. Got it. So do you mind if I start with you? No? Okay. How about you? Would you like to?
I came in late, I'm not really sure what's
Okay, so what we're doing is, yes, ma'am, just one second. He had just asked, he wasn't sure what was happening next. So this next part, so what we are here talking about today is whether or not people are in support of a short-term rental ordinance or if they're against a short-term rental ordinance. And then also there's multiple pieces to the short-term rental ordinance, and that's what we were talking about today, is that there's a multiple categories or areas that make up an ordinance. And so what we confirmed with everybody, and we were just talking about the feedback, is that this is really where we are today. Based on the previous 4 meetings that we've had with the community, this is the overwhelming feedback that we've received. Overwhelming, like 100%. 99.9. Sorry, there was, I apologize to her, there was. So that there will be no permitting for short-term rental, property owners or operators. That there's no restrictions for short-term rentals in El Paso. I'm talking El Paso city limits. And that there's no density limitation. So that means we're not limiting the number of short-term rentals anywhere in the city. And there's overwhelming that there's no hotel occupancy tax for the city's portion. And so it was asked by this nice lady here, Norma Chavez, thank you, Norma, about what the breakdown is. So unfortunately, we didn't get the slide in time, but we do have the breakdown. So that way we can at least read it to everybody. Daniel, will you bring up go ahead, Daniel.
Yes, so the breakdown is 6% state, 2.5% county, 2% ballpark, 2.5% capital debt service.
So that's the convention center debt service. So anytime they make modifications to the convention center, Abraham Chavez, the Plaza Hotel, the Plaza Theater, what else? What else do they own? Oh, McKelligan Canyon, not own, operate. McKelligan Canyon, I think that's it. Go ahead.
Okay. Debt service, so we have 1.5% CDB.
So that's our Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Can he slow down?
Yes.
Of course.
Can you start again?
Yes,
Representative Molina.
and nice and loud, Daniel.
Thank you. And also, I'll be attending as many meetings as I can.
Oh, absolutely.
Can add that to.
Yes, ma'am, we will. Absolutely. I knew it. That's why we have the information.
Thank you so much.
Of course. That way you're not having,
He was going pretty fast.
that way you're not having to write it down.
6% state
Yes, so it's 6% state.
already being collected.
Usually, so it depends on the platform. I
The
know
Airbnb
is automatically collected. But it is required as of May of 2017 by the state of Texas that even if you're not on Airbnb, that you are collecting the state portion of the hotel occupancy tax, which is 6%. They have more information on the state comptroller's website if you're interested. So then you'll see the 2.5 for the county, so that's the county's portion. The city of El Paso does not have any influence or jurisdiction over their portion or use of the hotel occupancy tax. Then the voters approved the 2% for the ballpark. So this combined with the revenue that's generated by the ballpark is what pays for the debt of the ballpark. So we have to issue debt to be able to build the ballpark, and that's what helps pay for it. The 2.5% capital and debt service, that's what I mentioned for debt service payments or the capital improvements that are made to the convention center, the Plaza Theater, the McKelligan Canyon, Abraham Chavez Theater, and that's it, I think, yeah. And then 1.5% is for CVB, so that's Convention and Visitors Bureau. So that's for the Visitors Bureau to do signage, billboards to advertising outside of El Paso to get people to come to El Paso. Another 1.5% is for Destination El Paso, Visit El Paso, where that's supposed to bring in events and conventions. Another 1.5% is for our Museum and Cultural Affairs Department. And so for that, it helps to host Chop the Block, thank you. The large events that we've seen, and also to bring artists to El Paso and help support the arts. So that's total, including the county's portion, is the 17.5% hotel occupancy tax. Yes,
So I just want to be clear, those of us who are on that platform, are on the platform, that does take out that 17%, we're already contributing just a little bit into our city among all of us.
yes, you're already contributing the 6% state. Yes,
But you're not contributing the bottom half.
Okay.
yes, you are doing the 6% state required, is a requirement today.
11.5% is not being
Correct.
collected.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't think that we should be paying for the ballpark
Yes.
or the capital debt service of the ballpark. We provide a venue for visitors to come and stay in El Paso affordably. Normally they drive through El Paso is known as a truck stop, and now all of a sudden the platforms of short-term rental are allowing these people to stay in places from Mexico, from all over, or from the pipeline I-10. The musicians are now starting to stay in El Paso because they can afford to. So, I don't know that we're already paying for the capital and debt services and our taxes, our property taxes, we're already paying for the ballpark. CBP, Visit, MCAT, I think you need to develop our industry first before you add a 17.5% tax or 11. I guess it comes to 11.5. It's not fair to us to be balancing the budget of the city of El Paso on the backs of small businesses like ours.
Got it. So the way that, and I completely understand, and yes, ma'am, I know we've got that feedback and we're writing it down again, of course. But I just want to make sure that property tax does not support anything I just talked about. It comes 100%, just so we're clear. It comes 100% from the hotel occupancy tax. So it's not like your retail sales and your property taxes are all going to support these items. That's just the structure, unfortunately, that was created way before my time to allow the convention and visitor centers to be able to be sustained. And so I'm not, I apologize that I don't have any more information than that. But yes, sir.
And I'd like to make sure that everyone understands here, we have a lot of people, it's a crowded house, which is great, okay, great. And we're not here to talk about how things should be. Our topic tonight is the short-term rentals. So let's stay on topic. We can stay here tonight talking about the ballpark, what happened, what didn't happen, why it happened, how it happened, who's responsible for that. We don't have time for that.
Thank you, sir. And so we're going to ask you all to keep your comments to about 2-3 minutes each, at least. But let's go ahead and get started. You've got, go ahead. One question and then.
Clear on this 17%, Airbnbs are not hotels. Okay? And I know before my colleagues have clearly made that distinction. We are not hotels. So we don't receive any benefit the hotel franchises get from corporate. So I want to make sure that as one of my colleagues already mentioned in another meeting, they need to form something that's specific to our business franchise and not try to box us into something that we're not. We're not a bed and breakfast. We already cleared that.
Yes, sir.
We're not a hotel. And every time we speak about the 17% or quote unquote the 11%, that's for hotels. We're not a hotel.
Understood. Yes, thank you so much. Do you have any other? Okay, great. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
It makes sense now because like before I was curious to see where all these 17% of the put into these have been seen justified at the time.
Got it. You didn't know what's included in there. It just seemed like this lump of money.
Yeah, coming out of nowhere. So
yeah.
I was curious to see what it was all about with details because I know people have their mortgages prepaid and everything else. So all in all, ultimately it seemed a large amount of money coming out per month.
Got
so I was
it.
curious to see what it was about.
Got it. So thank Ms. Chavez here. She's the one that insisted we include it. He said thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Say same thing? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just kind of my concern is, as a property owner, I don't have 100 Airbnbs around the city. I have my house and I'm, rent part of that house out as an Airbnb. And I feel like I already pay enough in just the normal property taxes and that any kind of rental that I have for guests to come in, again, I shouldn't be paying for all the other stuff as just a homeowner, as a couple homes that I own. And if it is something that the city needs taxes for all those things like the ballpark and whatever else, it should be a broader base property tax that is, everybody's paying business taxes as well as.
We all are paying property taxes.
Yeah, so we're already paying that, so that's what I'm saying. So, like, to add that to us right now, I think is really unfair.
No, and I think you were just clear on all the, kind of like what he said, the taxes. It just kind of fell into place where everything was going, or what it was. So that was kind of good.
Yeah, and just really quick too, the ditto on all the permits. Like when you build your house, you have permits for building your house. If you add something onto it, you have permits, so it's already there. So to re-permit something that's already done and all those kind of things, I think it's a waste of the city's time, and it's definitely an additional burden on homeowners and stuff.
So you reaffirm
I'm just,
everything
yes,
here?
putting a stamp on what's not doing it.
Okay, great.
No? You sure?
I think this gentleman talked that we had to follow suit. Since we are in Texas, we have to follow suit with San Antonio, Austin. Is that correct?
No, what I was saying is Texas, the state, a lot of comments previously were, why don't we look at other cities like outside of Texas? I don't know the state laws in Texas, and so we just have to fall within the state laws that are within our state.
So
that's.
I think the point is that it varies by community, completely varies by
Okay, so we don't
community.
have to, we don't have to jump.
No, sir, some have a lot, some have nothing, which is what we're looking at now.
Yeah,
So it's just to show you there's a wide variety, but we always have to do it within the confines of state law. We always are under that umbrella.
And do we have numbers that people who are in for Airbnbs in El Paso versus against? Because it sounds like the majority are for, right, in this room.
Real-time information from the surveys.
We can, you know what, why don't we have that at the end and give us a chance to pull what we've got so far. All right, sorry.
Marius, I have more of a question now. It looks like you're all going back to the drawing board and proposing. So is this still an ordinance that's going to be on the table that's going to go for vote, or where do you go from here? Because it looks like you completely just erased everything from the ordinance.
Right, because that's the feedback we've received. So yes, ma'am, so everything would be erased. It would go back to where it's just allowed by right. There's nothing else under it or part of it or required.
So it wouldn't even be on the agenda to vote, it wouldn't, at what point would it die?
We would have to be able to, right, and correct me if I'm wrong, we have to still define it in our code, because our code is in the dark ages. So we need to be able to define it. We're not gonna define it any more than what the state already has, which is that's the state definition. So we would just say, it's just the state definition, and everything is allowed by rights. There's nothing else to it. It just means that we're just finally up to date with you all. You all are much more ahead than we are, and it allows us to finally catch up.
And you have the right to make that decision already, or?
So we did talk to the city manager, and so he said, well, this is the opportunity. This is the feedback you're getting. It's overwhelming feedback. We're listening. And he said, we need to continue the meetings to give everybody a chance to have a voice. But if this really looks like what the recommendation from staff is going to be to council, then let's talk about it. Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, so Representative Molinar, so you know that's really what we're looking at coming forward to council. And I don't think the meetings are going to change. We've seen an amazing turnout, amazing people come out that are passionate about their short-term rental, their business, their properties, their neighbors, everybody. It's a community. And so we said we're going to listen, and so we have to listen.
I think a lot of us have the concerns are real quick. Once there is a definition, how likely is it a little further along the years where just because now we have a definition, we can end up here again?
So that's a great question, because you're right, I think it was mentioned yesterday as well, people are concerned about that. So we can actually, if you all want to make a recommendation to, is we actually could put language that makes sure that we can't change it for a certain number of years. That it can't come back, can it? Am I making things up?
Well,
I think we should.
I'll be honest with everyone here, okay? So the code is a living document, okay? The code, all the codes we have 21 sections of the code in the city of El Paso right now. They're living documents, okay? It is up to city council to approve or disapprove changes to the code. So we can make a change, I can make a change to the code, well, I can't make it, but council can make a change to the code today, and then tomorrow, or a year from now, or 5 years, or 20 years from now, can make a change to that same section of the code, okay? I can't guarantee that it's not going to get changed, but the code can get changed every day of the week that council needs, okay? But what we're looking at now, like I mentioned, the only change we would do is add a definition in the zoning code for short-term rentals, be that basic definition, clear it up, get it away from that bed and breakfast definition that we all know it's not, and then we're done.
I really want to get back to the feedback where we continue so everybody gets an opportunity, and we're on this gentleman. I apologize, I know there's more questions, but.
A couple of things. One of them, touched on that, and we haven't touched on that. Assuming that it goes through, again, because I think this agenda, this is being led by a group of people that really want this. Assuming it goes through, have you guys presented, or are you guys working on a presentation on how it's going to impact the city as far as cost? You're mentioning you don't have the staff if this goes through to start.
Limited staff.
Exactly, so you would have to hire people, you would have to do many different things that is the city understanding that they could get the revenue that they want if they hit us.
But what could go through, because remember, we've thrown out everything.
Well, okay, you're recommending this, but at the end of the day, you're not making the decision. It's them that are making the decision. And again.
With them being nine.
Exactly, but I already told you that there's a few people that have been verbal about it and have expressed in the public meeting how they feel. Therefore, what I'm saying is that probably their mind is made up. There's a few, like this representative, that is willing to listen.
I don't think that's fair, but.
Well, I have the right to make my comment, right? So, have you guys also worked on, okay, if it does go through, this is the impact the city's gonna take on, the cost, because it is going to be possible.
Yes, sir.
And now, and guess what, after it does, you guys are gonna, well, not you guys, but we're gonna get hit again by raising taxes.
Yes.
So, that's one. And number two, Representative, not to put you on the spot, but do you have a feeling right now towards this? Someone asked yesterday, have you been approached by lobbyists?
Like where does he stand on this?
All right, I'll answer that question to the best of my ability. I do not disclose which way I'm gonna vote, okay? Prior to whatever comes before the meeting agenda, I do not disclose I'm in favor or against. Reason being is this, I'll tell, I'm gonna pick on you, man. I'm gonna vote for it. You know, don't worry about it. It's my vote and this and that. All of a sudden, someone overhears me and they change it. She might put it on social media. Guess what? Representative Molina's gonna do this. And next thing you know, it's on social media and it changes. Okay? I'm not blaming you or anything like that. But I've seen it happen before, time and time again. And so that would not be fair to every one of you. Okay? I see some people here that are from District 4 that I represent. Okay, but I also see some people here that are not from District 4 that I do not represent, but my vote does count because it's for the city of El Paso. So if you're asking me today, Bob Hill, I won't disclose it.
Next. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I'm okay right now, except I have a comment like that's in the city being, but I'll talk with you later.
Okay, okay, sounds good. Yes, ma'am. Did you have anything?
First, I wanted to thank Representative Molina for being such a good community representative here. Not all of the elected council people have, and for your frankness on how you vote. I appreciate that. And also, you all as city staff, thank you very much. I've seen you working 4 times out of 5. Pretty amazing, pretty Teflon. I just wanted to say in reference to the hotel tax, and it's been brought up by someone else in another meeting, is that the hotels have ballrooms, but I wanted for the record, they have restaurants, so the revenue is different than an STR. You know, we don't have a ballroom, we don't have a restaurant, we don't have boutiques, and so it's not a balanced taxation for short STRs. And then I understand, Mr. Code, that you need a definition of the STR. I do think that we're afraid that with that definition down the road, it becomes an opportunity for, opening up Pandora's box. And so, but I understand that you need the definition because we're not a bed and breakfast.
No, and again, I don't know how long I'm gonna be with the city of El Paso.
Exactly.
But all these ordinances go through a public vetting process, okay? So we're getting feedback on this. If it was to change down the road, we'd be in the same boat. We'd invite everyone and says, hey, come comment on this. Are you for these changes? Are you not? What are your thoughts? And we go through that same process. And at the end of the day, it's up to city council.
Right.
Yeah.
And as you said, we are a community. We are a community of hosts that take in guests, and everybody has to go through a process to be identified. You have to upload an official current ID. So it's not, I believe you, sir, Mr. Tony, has said you've utilized short-term rental platforms, Airbnb. You have to register. They just don't let you open up the application and rent. You have to be in the system. So we are a community, and I think that we do take care of our business as best as we possibly can. But I want to thank you all for your patience. I've seen y'all work really hard. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
I have a few things. So I know you kind of touched as to why we kind of need this and why this is suddenly coming up out of nowhere type of thing, because it's a little bit line between bed and breakfast and short-term rentals. So my question is, I have a couple here. So when it comes to, we said issues with the tenants who are renting the SBO, the short-term rental site. Yes. The guests who are in there, they cause an issue that falls onto the owner because they cause an issue.
So right now, the recommendation and what we're talking about is absolutely not. It's none of those regulations, restrictions, or blame is included. This is just to say it's a very simple definition of what is a short-term rental, so that it's different from a bed and breakfast.
Okay. And as for your office, you're talking about getting permits and all that, as well as maintaining standards. Who is going to uphold these standards? Who are going to put out the standards, and where is this charge going to come from? Is it going to come from the owner of the short-term rental? Are the owners of these short-term rentals going to have to pass on these charges for maintaining standards, permits, getting permission to even have this rental service onto the tenants or the guests who rent the place? Are they going to have to incur these extra charges because of these processes that we're implementing? Or is it going to be passed on to us, the city?
Remember what we said, no permitting requirement. So there would not be permitting fees associated with it. So it wouldn't be, you wouldn't absorb it, it wouldn't be transferred because we're not charging.
Okay. And I have one last question for a gentleman over here. You were talking about how city code is a living organism, how it's always changing and all that. So let's say perhaps this does get passed. Let's say that you do make some changes and all that. But as a living ordinance, where's going to be the cutoff? Because when I hear living ordinance, I hear that, well, we passed a 6% tax on this. Well, let's add another tax on this. So just keep adding more and more stuff and keep expanding what we can until we get to a point where we get pushback or enough pushback to stop expanding.
I would say at the end of the day, it's up to council. I can't promise you that it's not going to change. Okay? I've been lying to you. You want me to lie to you?
No.
I don't want to, but what I mean is it has to go through a public process where it has to get approved by city council. Okay? I cannot go in and go on the computer and change the code by myself. Okay? I do not have that authority. Okay? that authority is given to city council to change those. So I can't promise you it's not gonna change. I don't want to promise you because that'd be a lie. Okay?
Maybe we don't
Okay.
want to give them that power.
But the zoning code is given from the state to city council. Okay?
And it's something, look at it this way, the county has no zoning regulations. You got a junkyard, you got a really nice house, you got a strip mall. There are no zoning regulations in the county. Municipalities have adopted those. Like Kevin said, they evolve. Right now, we're looking at construction codes. The construction codes are released every so often. The cities want to be up to date on the most current construction codes because they offer greater safety, not only in residences, but in commercial. So that's how our municipal code is always changing. But for us to tell you, when we're 20 years out, we have 3-4 changes of reps, that those reps and the community's opinion isn't going to change is unrealistic.
Okay, so that really bothers me, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it's coming from the survey that you took at the beginning of the week. Nowhere in there says no ordinance at all. So we don't have any ordinances for long-term rentals. Why do we need one for a short-term rental? So that really bothers me. If it's not broke, why do you want to fix something that is not broke? In my opinion, we don't need one. Okay. So I mean, thanks for listening to us. And I really want you to listen to us because less than 1% is for the ordinance and for some type of ordinance. The majority, like over 99%, is against. So, yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Stephanie. I am a resident of District 4. I just had a couple of questions actually well, for clarification, there is no ordinance any longer on the table, correct? Now we're just trying to define code, is that right? So in this crowd, how many people have investment properties where you have a long-term rental, right? Mm-hmm. So at what point is it gonna go from a year lease, right? And how many of your tenants are on a month-to-month? Show of hands, right? So how are you gonna feel them trying to implement code or an ordinance for people that are on a month-to-month lease? Are they gonna be taxing you for your month-to-month lease? Are you gonna have to start registering? In addition to the property tax that you already have to pay, right? That you can't protest it, right? You can't protest any of your investment properties. You are stuck paying the high taxes that you can't oppose, right? So why are we going to implement a code for short-term rentals when there is no code for long-term rentals? And how are you going to implement that code? And it just seems like this unattainable thing where we're just trying to get a money grab, more money for what exactly? And it's only gonna hurt our economy, right? This being such a blended community, right? We have a huge Hispanic community here in El Paso, and we have a huge military community, right? And my job is to sell a lot of these soldiers' homes. And where are they living while their home is being erected or during the closing process? So, and they have to be tight with their money. They have to pay closing costs, perhaps down payment, the repairs that come along. So it's just making it more difficult for anyone that wants to call El Paso their home while they're waiting for a home to be constructed or to close on. So I just don't see, once we allow for a code to happen, what do you think it's gonna turn into? It's gonna turn into an ordinance, it's gonna turn into more spending, it's gonna turn into more money, and it's gonna make us suffer.
Yes. So in addition to that, I'm also a realtor, by the way. When you are selling a house and the seller needs to stay in the house for the next 5 weeks, that would be considered a short-term rental. We have an amendment for that contract so we can be allowed to stay there. Or if the buyer needs to move earlier, that's also considered a short-term rental.
So why define it and put more rules so that you can make it more difficult for everyone?
Right, so the definition itself.
We should get rid of that.
Leave it alone.
Yes, I'm also a realtor, and I don't know if I'm piggybacking or not, but when you purchase an investment property, and I know that somebody had said this doesn't pertain to taxes, but I think that it does, because I'm not sure, Mr. Smith had mentioned that we're going based on what other cities are doing, or we're looking at what other cities are doing. But why are we looking at what other cities are doing? Because El Paso's taxes are the highest, or one of the highest in Texas. And compared to Fort Worth, compared to San Antonio. So we do have to look at taxes, because if you're a homeowner and you get that homeowner credit, right? The homestead credit. But if you're buying an investment property to do this, you're not. And taxes are really high, depending on where you buy it, what area in the city you buy it. So we're not comparing apples to apples. We're comparing oranges to apples, because we're not the same as other cities. It just doesn't jive to say something like that, because we're very different. We're a very different community. Everything is just different. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't know. I don't think that we're opening up a can of worms that we're not ready for. I think maybe the city needs to stay on track on maybe bettering the roads. We know we have a problem. I think somebody mentioned about the security of the other residents in the neighborhoods. Well, that is part of the security, not having stable roads, because you don't want to end up in a pothole, you know? I don't know, am I making sense?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Thank you so much. And I apologize, if you see me checking my phone, I just need to make sure my kids eat. So I feel like but I gotta, right? You gotta check on them. I'm like, what are you doing? Okay, sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Hi. First off, I do want to say I am encouraged. I was really nervous coming into the meeting tonight, but I'm encouraged looking at that slide as a property owner here in El Paso. I have a little different perspective. I live in Las Cruces. We could have bought our investment property in Las Cruces and paid much lower property taxes, but we chose to purchase here in El Paso, and we are proud to be an alternative, a really great alternative to hotels for our guests. And so I feel like we are contributing to El Paso, because I live in Las Cruces, but I'm paying El Paso property tax and purchased the property. So I do, short-term rentals are a necessary part of the hospitality industry, but we are also small business owners. And this is what we are doing, and we are contributing to the community. So I am encouraged by this, but I hope that that's where the voting, whatever voting happens, goes, because everyone in this room is trying to, provide a service for their community. And we are much different than a hotel, but we are a necessary part of it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Ms. Ma'am.
I'm against it, and I don't have anything else to add other than the wonderful comments that have already been made. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. Ma'am?
Just a minute.
No. Sabrina, are you gonna?
I'll say something.
Okay. Mr. Maldonado?
Yeah, thank you for always your input. I feel like you guys are becoming family right now.
Yes.
See you guys a lot. And my older brother, Mr. De La Cruz, over here. Well, as you guys can see from the last meetings, that we are a community. That we not only care about each other, but we've seen that we care about the people that are having issues with Airbnbs or doing the wrong things.
Do you want to tell them a little bit about that? I think it's really important as a community that you all.
She'll talk about
Okay.
it. She'll talk
Got
about
it?
it.
Okay.
So, but we're here to take care of everybody in the community. It's not just about us. that's one of the things that, as a caretaker from Airbnbs and stuff, we're going to care about other people. We want to hear about those things and help those people out. Another thing, even those who are here to oppose, you've got that voice too to say, but we're here to take care of you. If you're having issues with some Airbnb close by or something, we're here to help you out. So, but another thing, just a comment, just like, I saw up there one of the reps can have a meeting at 8 a.m. I think that's, don't we work at that time?
My kid dropped off at that time.
Yeah.
My kid dropped off at that time.
I'm with you.
But I think most of us work though. So that's, doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
Maybe you can talk to her.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Sabrina.
Well, thank you, everyone. As I was sitting down, I was just thinking about, it's true, and someone said it is just a community, and a lot of things came to my mind. But 2 points. Point number 1, I want to talk about the community of Airbnb. We had guests staying up with us until midnight, peeling chilies, because we want to. We have guests that have cooked for us when we came back from vacation. They have a buffet for us. Like, do they know it's our home? I mean, it kind of felt like that, right? Remember anyways, it was delicious. We have gone to the beach with guests. There's a doctor who stays with us at least once a month. We have cookouts, and then he comes to our girls' birthday parties. We have even one of our guests. She asked my daughter to be her flower girl in Chicago. We have a guest who is like an uncle to my daughters. Every time he comes from Mexico, even if he doesn't stay with us, he stops by, brings us some cheese. We took him to see the lights at Edgemere for the first time. He loved it. He actually makes the U.S. about $1 million a year because he does import-export. And he wants to stay at Airbnbs. He can stay anywhere in El Paso, but he wants to have that family. He wants to talk to us after he gets home from work. He wants to just be there. He wants to read. He wants to bring his bike. So anyways, he's just like every guest, it's important. And so we want to help him. And this is something that we bring to the guests in El Paso for free, right? We don't use any of the tax money to do all this for our guests. So that's point number 1. Point number 2 is during the pandemic, I am a first responder. So I never stopped working. I always went to the clinic part-time, and sometimes, trust me, I was having a hard time because everybody was at home and I was driving, the only one on the street. I even had to have a permit. This person is allowed to go to work between these hours and these hours because she's a first responder. I mean, we all have to have it. Having said that, we never had unemployment. We never collected any food stamps. We never even lined up for free food. Thank you for free food because we wanted to have the people who needed it, and that was thank you to obviously our jobs, but Airbnb. Thank you to that. Okay, and I feel like with us wanting to tax us more and give us a permit, I know somebody mentioned it too, but I feel the same way that it's I know you guys don't mean it, but it feels like it's punishing us, people who want to work, people who are not asking money from the government. My mother, who's an elderly woman, she lives with us and she qualifies for food stamps, easy. Today she put the application, she gets her, but she doesn't have to because she eats with us. We help her, we support her. So I think with implementing all these taxes, I don't think we don't feel like it's fair because we're giving so much, and we want to give much. I mean, all of us. I mean, it's an amazing community that we have, and so that's what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Heidi Sorens. I'm pretty sure a lot of you know me. I've been to every single meeting that has been held by the city staff, and I thank you.
No, thank you for coming.
I know that you wanted me to mention, out of the 5 meetings today, no one is for this ordinance, right? Everybody's against it. So out of all the meetings that we had, I would say that about 300 people have showed up, and only last night where there were 2 people that were for this ordinance. Now, it's okay, that's why we're here. We want the public feedback. But I'm happy to tell you all that I was able to solve her issue. I was able to help her. In less than 24 you know, she was trying to find help where no one could. But now that we have this, you know, she is so thankful. She's sending me messages like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like, I can't believe you were able to do this so quickly. I've been trying for a year and nothing like that. But that's what we want to say. That's what we do for our guests. That's what we do for our community. We really help each other out. I'm out there teaching other people how to do Airbnb because they need that supplemental income. They're retired and they want to find a way on how they can pay for those property taxes so that it doesn't come out of their Social Security that they're getting every month. That's what we help out. And I think that a lot of us here, we decided to get into this business because we're in the hospitality industry. We really want to have and be a host and care. We care. We really care. But that was something that I wanted to point out. I wanted to ask if it's possible to change the presentation to what you guys are actually saying about the zoning permit or
Yes, ma'am. To
your
clarify
actual,
that,
yeah.
the code.
Because I wanna reread it and actually understand it, if you could help me out with that. It's probably one of the last, there. Okay, so why is the short-term rental important? Creating a new zoning definition for short-term rental. My question for this is, by you creating this zoning definition for our short-term rental, will that implicate we will be able to be taxed, regardless of what the tax is, regardless if it's 17.5 or 2% or whatever it is. By creating this definition of zoning, would we then later on be able to be taxed at anything?
So we're gonna be completely straight with you. Yes. So on the short-term hotel occupancy tax, we're checking. Because I don't have the answer. So we're actually working with legal to make sure one way or another, so we can be completely straight with, well, if we do put that language, then it automatically triggers. One of the gentlemen in the back said on the state website says it's optional, right? And so that's what we're confirming with legal, because we don't want to give you incorrect information. So I think that's a great question. I think it's a really important question, and it's something that we owe all of you an explanation later once we've got it clarified.
Thank you.
I think what I need to remember is short-term rentals are defined. The state already has that almost exact definition.
So copy paste,
Pretty much.
but we don't get a tax.
But
That's what we want.
she wants
So
confirmation
that's
that you
again-
wouldn't have to pay the additional hotel occupancy tax, right? That's it. Just to make sure I'm on the same page.
And again,
Because that's
we
what we're
do
looking into, but I
understand
want
that
to
we're
make sure.
not the ones paying it, but it would be really, you know, we care, right? That's why we're here, that's why we became hosts.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
I don't wanna bring that other extra tax to the people that are coming.
Right.
Because we already bring the business to El Paso. We already, you know, take them everywhere possible. We recommend them, we recommend each other. I recommend other hosts when my units are booked. That's what we do. So I just don't want it, like, regardless of what the actual tax is, I don't want that to be passed along to our guests just because we have to pay for the ballpark or something like that.
Got it, and we don't want to accidentally trigger something that's without
All of
going
that
there.
tax is gonna be absorbed, that's not good. Make no mistake about that.
Got it, yeah, and we've heard that too in multiple meetings, sir, thank you for making that point.
Have you taxed that person to fix our problem?
No, I didn't charge her anything.
Okay.
Good job.
It's a great story too, though, to bring people that are having difficulties with those that aren't doing a great job as being neighbors as a short-term rental and helping them be able to start finding solutions. And so thank you, Heidi, for that example. Yes, sir?
Yes, my name is Juan Enriquez, Heidi's husband. The main thing is that, I mean, from the properties, I usually am the one that makes the checks to pay for payroll, to pay for property taxes, to pay sales taxes, and to make it on time. Sometimes I dread paying so much because, I mean, just from payroll taxes, it goes like about 1/3 of all the profits, right? Last year, one of our houses right in front of Hopewell Elementary rose. The last 2 years, the property rose from 70% in property value. So it's not like I mean, there wasn't a lot of increase in property taxes, but the values in these last 2 years rose, and this is a fact. It rose from 50 to 70%. That's from ElPasoMatters.com, or the Paso Matters website, and this is all throughout the city. I mean, even if the property values, property taxes, they don't increase.
That's how they get their money.
Property values, they increase.
Yeah, they didn't get it by
Property value taxes.
And then there's,
Yes.
so it is something that we have to think about. It's not, I mean, it's hard for like property owners to actually get more taxes because we're descending on property. And I think this is the thing that we got from, because I mean, we have an R1 and Honda Pass, but things that, and we love these districts, but I mean, things that, those houses were eyesores. We usually pick the eyesores that have hidden termites. But we fix them up. And I mean, from my neighbors, I have the phone numbers from each of them. From the side, Mr. Piero, from the back, we have multiple sources. So if there's anything else, I mean, we take care of our properties. The thing is that we don't want to be charged too much for like one person that is making parties or something like that, you know? We do take care. So it's not like we're taking this on like a type of on the offense, or like we have to take care of our income, right? Our source of living and how we put bread on our table.
Did you have any comments? Sir? No? Matt? You, sir?
I'm all, anything with new taxes, I'm against. This country was founded on people saying, no new taxes.
I've been waiting for a while in the back.
Okay, we have been going around, sir, but go ahead, sir.
Just a quick question, I work in finance. Really, my only concern is what safeguards are being put in regards to the security of these mortgages. Because in all reality, when we're receiving short-term income on these rental properties, you can't refinance a conventional loan option. You have to use a private loan option, such as something with that option, right? Like you're right. So I think that the city should have some sort of definition in regards to these properties being held in the name of an entity, business entity, for the sake of these homeowners. Because at the end of the day, the recourse to these loans, should they fail, should these rentals not, be rented out for an extended period of time, are placed on the burden of the individual as opposed to the entity. So one proposal I, might say it would be worth looking into is that any property that's deemed short-term rental has to be closed in the name of the legal entity. No new taxes or anything at all like that, but that would be one safeguard. Additionally, that's really just looking out for you. How many of you all that have investment properties here closed in a personal name? Personal? How many of you have business entities?
No, but it's a coupon for.
Yes, your personal guarantor, but at the end of the day, I can't use your short-term rental income on a conventional loan option. That's the best for you.
Right.
That's the best for your interest. So I'm telling you, the alternative to that is using some sort of non-QM loan. And at that point, if you already have a business entity set, that's kind of mandated by the city, it makes it so much easier to refi. Do things like that, if you guys should run into issues with any money generation.
I've never had any issues refining property. They show income. You're on the city.
And I don't think that's something that the city would do. I mean, that's something that we have to really, you have to write it down and we have to vet it through our legal. But I think that's more a discussion of a private owner going into a public, with a private business.
All right, let's keep it down so we can continue with the questions, please.
objection. So it's actually your turn. Yes, ma'am.
I'm happy that no terms, no surveys, restrictions, hopefully no taxes. Because we are not, we are
Yes, sir.
It is difficult already, we are suffering with this economy already. So don't make it more difficult. What we do is, it takes guts to do it. We need to be on the top of everything. We work hard. And as you know, we don't receive any benefits. We should receive any benefits. And one thing, what we do benefits the communities in El Paso. That's my comment.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir. No comments? Yes, ma'am.
On the slide earlier at the very beginning, you had numbers on how many short-term leases were in the city.
Yeah, what we could find on the internet.
Where on the internet?
It's on the very bottom. Here, we've actually cited the source, and it's called AirDNA. And so you're able to type in not only just by the city, you can also type in by zip code and also by different cities. And so all they're doing is data mining. They're pulling from all the different platforms. So it's an estimate, because I know that what I've learned is that you can post on multiple platforms, the same property, of course, right? And so that's why it's just an estimate.
Okay, so those numbers may be high.
every day.
No.
And it's a snapshot, so they might be lower, yes, ma'am. Yeah, it depends on the day.
Okay. And along with everyone else, I own my homes. Okay, one I'm still paying finances on, but the taxes, I paid over $15,000 in property taxes for 2 of my houses.
Yes,
So, I mean, they're very happy.
And do one more.
Yes. We're listening, we don't want more.
I did talk to Mr. Tommy Gonzalez.
Yes, ma'am.
About in one of the meetings, and he argued with me that they don't raise the taxes. And I said, no, you didn't. You raised the property value. That's the same thing. And I know a lot of people who speak Spanish here, they're gonna repeat it again. Es la misma gata pero revolcada. It's the same cat but thrown over. That's it. The taxes went high. So they said, no, we're not, no. And like Mr. Molina told me that last meeting that we have, before last meeting, he told me, he said, well, you choose to have properties for rent. You choose to do that. Excuse me? I said, okay, so I choose, because we were complaining about all the extra pays that we have, about the trash and the extra charge for the water. It's completely different. But we choose to be apartment owners or property owners.
It's our fault for wanting to just.
Yes,
basically.
exactly.
Be punished.
Yes. So,
thank you for.
And let me respond to that.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I salute every one of you that's here, okay? But to her point, how many of you have more than 10 Airbnbs? More than 10. How many have more than 25? Okay. This young lady and her husband have opted to do that, okay? I cannot change that. We live, hold on. We live in America, and that's their right to do so. That's your right to do what you want to do, invest in that property, okay? Hold on. Wait, hold on. So if you do that, there's unintended consequences that come with that, okay? And where does it end? And so the thing is here. What I'm trying to say is that if I'm a homeowner, okay, I choose only to have one home. That's it. But that's my right to do so. If you choose to have more than one Airbnb, that's your right to do so too. Okay?
some people.
No one's punishing you, man. No one's punishing you.
For me as a career,
That's what I think.
We still need an
That's what how we
explanation.
raise our four kids.
We don't understand.
Yeah.
What's your explanation?
Everyone is free to choose what they want, okay? If you want multiple cars, multiple children, you wanna take 3 vacations a year, that's up
We're all
to you.
different,
So what does that have to do with?
I'm trying to answer this gentleman's question. You're free to do so. You're free to do so. You're gonna pay for it.
This is a source of
Okay.
income, this is not a luxury, this is a source
I'm not,
of income.
hey, you can lose your money in Vegas, that's not a luxury.
No.
I've answered the question, so let's continue. Let's continue.
I think, ma'am, in Green, let's tell us your turn, are you done? Okay, then, thank you, yes, ma'am.
Well, what am I gonna say, but, I'm also a realtor, so I do agree with everything that the realtors have been, that they expressed and something. I think that what this meeting has been about is more than you all are giving our input and our information before anything is gonna be done.
Yes, ma'am.
So for us, for a lot of us to be, very defensive right now, this whole room, about everything that can happen, but it hasn't happened, because that's what you're doing, right? You're getting information and feedback. So hopefully all of this feedback that you're getting from all of us is going to point us in the right direction. And you know, have everybody that has their Airbnbs, that they're allowed to continue to do that for their extra income, for their job, that's their career.
Thank you for that, yes, sir. She got it? Yeah? Yes, sir.
I just want to say again, thank you guys for your patience and your support. I really appreciate it. But again, I do want to agree with pretty much everything that all my colleagues are saying. I've got plenty of friends in real estate. I've got plenty of friends who work in civil service and work for the city. The bottom line is, again, if I think the councilman was leading up to this. Bottom line is, it's your choice to have it, but it's also our choice to defend it.
Yes.
And in the end, that's what we want to do. And even with that defending, no matter what, we're still a community. And there is a lot of little nuances and caveats that the city that we're doing, kind of like Heidi alluded to, she didn't tax those people for fixing it. The city didn't fix that. The city didn't fix that young lady's problem. So in essence, yes. In essence, yes. But because we are passionate about small business owners and what we do, we have galvanized and coalesced around a common goal where we're saying, yeah, we're going to defend it. But not just that, city, tell us the problem that you're having, we'll help you, so that you all can turn around and say, you know what, come to our council. We have super host Airbnbs throughout the city. I mean, you guys can, we can galvanize and coalesce together, but this has to be positive. And if it's a quick money grab, you're going to, somebody, one of my other colleagues out there, open it up, you're going to open up a serious Pandora box. Because I agree with the gentleman who said, or whatever the number was, that said, have you guys even made a cost analysis of what it's going to cost you if it does pass? Because all it's going to do is add more taxes, more taxes, more taxes. You can barely afford it right now. We are still short right now. At our last meeting, one of the community members even pointed out, they had an issue to Heidi's credit she already fixed, and PD said it was a low priority. Our taxes still pay for that. But what did PD tell them? And then what did the community tell you? Well, we didn't get any help out of PD, but we still paid those taxes. Your taxes still paid for them. Whether they came 4 hours later or not, we still paid for that. The community person still had a problem. It didn't get fixed until Heidi intervened, correct? Yes. So that's us. Those are little caveats and things that we still do. But we're not taxing them. We're not paying them. We're, again, just trying to stay afloat. Thank you guys again. Appreciate you.
Well, I wasn't gonna say anything, but on that, I'm gonna add an issue that we were having on one of our properties that we just finished fixing to rent it out. We had a homeless guy staying in the porch of the house since June. I kept calling the police just about every day. And they would tell me that the city doesn't have the resources to do anything with him because he has a medical condition. And every time they take him in, they have to send him to a hospital and send a guard for him. So the city doesn't have the resources to do that. but then I would film him doing, drugs in front of the porch. Sometimes he was changing his clothing in front, right outside, right next to the school, and yet the police never showed up. I would call him every day, and it's right by Reynolds, so the cops are right there.
Right.
And they didn't show up all day, and we still pay our taxes, but we don't have resources to pay.
So
And
sorry
we
about
took
that.
care of him, we took care of that problem.
Yeah.
We had to we were there every single day getting him out. So we had to, throwing his things on the trash, but it just took us being there every single day, not
So,
the cops.
and so I apologize that, because that's a failure on us. It is a failure on
It
us.
is, because it took a long time.
Because we've
I
got
didn't show-
other resources for him, and we should have been able to help connect.
No, but
And we
I
did it, that's
called
why I say it's a
everyone. I
failure
called
on us.
everyone, they even assigned me a caseworker. Nothing got done.
If I may, I'm sorry, if I may.
Yeah, I-
This is nothing to do with homeless individuals. Please dial 915-500-1011, that's El Paso Coalition for the Homeless, and we're coordinated entry.
Can you say it again?
915-500-1011.
And so that's what I mean by failure on us, because we should have put you in connection immediately.
And we can definitely see what we can do. We can deploy our outreach teams. We can go out there and
I'm so sorry.
assess the situation. So whatever, if there's any situation with a homeless individual, please reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to assist. 915-500-1011. Or look up the El Paso Coalition for the Homeless. If you guys forget the number, just give us a call. My name's Alex Vasquez. I'll be more than happy to assist you guys.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes, this is the first